Hey, it's a Monday, and man, is it a Monday and a half because there's no more John Cena. Everybody, he's gone. But we still got Robert Karplis, Deputy Creative Underscores with us. This is Ruben Innuendo. Robert, happy Monday to you. How you feeling?
Happy Monday. Apologies in advance for the fact that Dom sounds like he is trapped at the bottom of a well, like little Timmy. He is sadly not, despite the fact that it looks and sounds like he's at the bottom of the well. So I will try to do as much talking as possible to negate whatever the hell's going on that side. We'll say hi to some of the folks joining us here. Says, "What's up? I'm not so excited that there is no more in-ring Cena." Willie Thornbrew says, "Will Gunther now has nuclear heat. Interested to see where they go from here." Wrestling Old Head says, "Good day, RNIites. WWE fans were in living color for Cena's last match and gave the final two snaps up in a circle and said, hated it. Mission accomplished." Johnny Disco says, "Happy Monday, RNI. Welcome to pro wrestling in WWE." Cammy Star points out correctly, now starts the Cena-less era. Wanna Breeze says, "Hello, RNI. If we can take anything out of this John Cena retirement tour, it's we got some pretty good memes." Man, there's a lot to unpack here coming out of Saturday night's main event, and I will say the majority of the show, it had a goal in mind, which was we want to put the spotlight on the folks that we think are going to be important in the WWE for the months and years to come. From that perspective, hugely successful. Starting at the top with Obafemi. Obafemi was put into a very dangerous position. He was in there with the world champion, opening up a show in front of about 20,000 people, in front of a global audience. He didn't trip. He didn't stumble. He didn't defecate the bed. He looked and felt like a star. So from that perspective, great job for Obafemi. Dom, I believe that you would at least agree the way Obafemi looked. He looked like, yeah, this is a guy in the next 3 to 5 years could be one of the people they hand the ball to.
I 100% agree. From a visual perspective, he looked great. I don't think how they positioned him will be very memorable on the show. Like a
Well,
very
they
non-flat finish. I don't think they did him really any favors in regards to having. Now, if they put this later on in the card, I wouldn't be as adverse to it. But I do think, from a visual perspective, he looks awesome.
I
But
think he
I
he
don't think
looked he looked great. We knew, and we even said on here exactly what we thought this finish was going to be, which it was going to involve Drew McIntyre in some form or fashion. And if you go all the way back to Vince McMahon Sr., and they would do the WWF champion versus the NWA champion as some of these sort of spotlight matches over the years, it always had a non-finish. So the idea was never going to be Cody's going to beat Obafemi clean, Obafemi's going to beat Cody clean. We assumed it was either going to involve Drew McIntyre in an outright interference or Drew McIntyre in some way costing Cody this match. So they were sort of handcuffed no matter what. The injury to Cody's ear, where he started bleeding, feels like it cut this match a little shorter. That this was always the plan ending, but that they rushed out Drew, and it felt incredibly flat. The crowd was not happy about it, but they kind of knew this was going to be a kissing your sister sort of situation. That there was no successful out from the Obafemi perspective. If he looked terrible out there, if he was botching, if he couldn't get Cody up, if he looked lost, if he looked a step behind, that would have damaged him. So from that perspective alone, this was a successful outing for Obafemi. Dom, I agree with you. It did not do him a ton of favors, but if you were one of the casual tire kickers, one of the people who heard, hey, there's this John Cena retirement match, I got a text from a buddy of mine. He was at a party and this was just on mute on a TV. So on the off chance somebody who was a casual fan, non-fan, whatever it saw that dude, they would have gone, "Wow, this Obafemi guy is worth a second look."
what did you? I didn't get to catch it, but what did you think of Obafemi's interaction with Cody on SmackDown?
I did not love the Obafemi promo on SmackDown. It felt very kind of cut and dry. His promos need work. His promos are fairly generic. It's a lot of leaning on catchphrases that aren't necessarily over. His delivery technique is obviously going to be different based in large part on the accent. It was just kind of that was just kind of there for me. That to me struck me as, yeah, this guy needs to refine that version of his presentation. And watching it purely from the sitting in the creative chair, what do I do with this guy? I don't love the fur. I think that the fur and the little dance that he does down to the ring, it feels very gimmicky. It feels a lot like we saw the trailer for Street Fighter come out. It feels like a Street Fighter character. He's got gear, he's doing a taunt. I think he needs something. 6'9" T2, I don't even know the hell that is, says, does he become a Heyman guy? That feels like the quickest cop out to just say Obafemi is going to align with Paul Heyman because he can't talk, but eventually he does need to learn how to speak. Like eventually you need to get a point where it's not paint by numbers. Otherwise, he's not going to reach that next level. I was having this conversation with Scott Chaplin. Stephanie Vaquer is tremendous in the ring. She's trying to get better at promos. Obviously, there's a language barrier with her that doesn't exist with Obafemi, but Obafemi needs to hone whatever that character side of him is. But to me, he's very much I was a football player. It didn't work out. This is my fallback, and I'm good at what I'm doing. Versus this is a guy who's sitting in the back going, did you watch this amazing red match from 2006 on YouTube? So it'll be interesting to see where they ultimately develop him. As far as a big guy goes, as far as a monster goes, he's leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of people we've seen. This is not a Heidenreich situation. This is not a Braun Strowman situation. This isn't even an early Bobby Lashley situation. This is a guy who you put him in a ring, boy, it's going to be an event. And he held his own in there with Cody. The next
I'm
match.
with you. Well, let me just say, I'm with you
Yeah.
on his presentation with some of how he looks. Like the fur and stuff, a little too much. If you have it on the boots, maybe that's one thing, but like ultimately kind of do. I think from a visual, facial perspective, I think he's got a lot of that. But to convey it through promos, he should get a little bit more work done when it comes to all that. But ultimately, like he's well on his way. And I think he can definitely get there for sure.
Either he's a guy who never speaks, or when he speaks, it is very short and very to the point.
Mhm.
He's not a guy that you want to have do a 7 to 10 minute promo back and forth battle, but that also winds up limiting where you can go with him. So he is never going to be the 1A in the company. And that's kind of okay. Brock in the beginning was not a great promo. Brock found where it was. Roman finally kind of found where it was. But Obafemi, if they can get him where they need to get him, and you have a core of guys that's Obafemi, Jacob Fatu, Braun Breaker, you're in pretty good shape. Why I said the next match was more successful is that Sol Ruka Bailey match.
Yes.
Excellent match. And the takeaway for me, at least for Sol Ruka, is she is a star. She is someone who, yes, she can do the crazy flippy stuff in the ring. She does the handstand cartwheels and all that. There's an emotional connection when you see her out there that the crowd instantly wants to like her. They want to see her win. They want to see her protected. She feels like a baby face. And to do that in front of an audience that might not be super familiar with her and putting her in there with a veteran like Bailey who knows what she's doing, I think she has the skills for the push they're kind of giving Maxine Dupree right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sol Ruka is just there is a likability factor, and I was toying with this. I was going back and forth with Scott Chaplin. We recorded a Patreon for Working Stiff, and eventually I got to this conclusion of she's got this laid back surfer vibe, and the audience immediately loves her. Oh my God, she's Sting. She is 1990, 1991 Sting. And that's a really great position to be a young talent in at that point and be able to make that kind of a connection with the audience.
Well, I'm 100% with you on that too. I mean, even just from a visual perspective, how she looks like a model from the 1990s. And it kind of plays into that a little bit more too. I like her theme music. It's Dick Dale slash Pulp Fiction kind of in certain ways, in a cheesier way. But I ultimately like the presentation she has. The Soul Snatcher is a great finisher. People have been critical of how it's presented and stuff, but I think that's totally fine in the realm of wrestling, and it's a badass move. Like,
It's a great
so
move,
she's got a
and
lot of place.
the challenge they face with her right now is where do we go from here? Because if the point of this was let's shine a spotlight on NXT, and you see Sol Ruka and you go, man, she's really special. I got to start watching NXT more. Great. If the idea is she's really good, let's call her up. Well, now I don't need to go tune in and watch a show that I wasn't necessarily watching every week. So it's a little bit of a push and pull, but you watch this match and you go, she's got the in ring skill, she's got the presence, she can deliver a good promo. Why the hell is she not on the main roster? But you put her on the main roster, Julia's kind of lost in the shuffle. Stephanie Vaquer, even as women's champion, is kind of lost in the shuffle. You still have a bottleneck at the top where there's not enough space. Like you got Rhea and Alexa and Charlotte and Io all going for women's tag titles. So it's kind of crazy that there's an embarrassment of riches in some way, shape, or form with the women's division that you'd be curious to see where they go from here. And I know on NXT, it feels like they were building to some sort of storyline with her and her tag partner in the same way we were getting that with Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. The idea of Saturday Night's main event, which John said, was it's somewhat out of continuity. So the idea that Bayley lost, we'll get a follow up on that for Raw tonight, whether that's her blaming Lyra or losing her confidence a little bit. There'll be falling action, but I'm glad it didn't happen on the broadcast.
Let me just follow up real quick with this. If you do decide to keep her in NXT, doesn't it kind of just diminish a little bit what the momentum is going into it? She gets the win, and then you kind of forget, like, quote unquote, forget about her if you're just tuning into the mainstream WWE product and not NXT.
Unless the idea is, NXT is on network television, it really is kind of the third brand. So it's going to be a little bit of a push and pull in terms of where they go. The tag match I thought was also very successful in putting a spotlight on Leon Slater and Javon Evans, as well as highlighting AJ and Dragon Lee. It's crazy, but Dragon Lee felt like the least impressive guy out there. And he was the
Yeah.
dude that was like, oh man, this could be your next Rey Mysterio. Bandito really has eaten his lunch in terms of being the next big, small stature lucha star who could be a world champion. And now Dragon Lee feels like he's the fourth most impressive guy out there. And my daughter happened to be in the room with it, and she just turns to me, just completely, she goes, "So does he think he's a dragon?" I was like, "Well, there goes any mystique with him." Javon Evans is another dude who he comes out there and instantly you are plugged into what he is doing. He maximizes his minutes. There is a bouncing. I know it's his bouncing. There's a bounciness and an energy and a youthful exuberance to that guy that when he bulks up in a few years and he puts on a little bit more muscle and he gets a little bit more seasoned, he's going to be something really, really special. Right now, he's special. And it was cool to get to see him have that interaction with AJ Styles. And lastly, and then I'll let you kind of opine on this. I like that the WWE was generous in telling the Leon Slater story as being a TNA champion and how much he admires AJ Styles for being a TNA champion when they are promoting a show that's going to air on AMC.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think it just shows the confidence WWE has in their product. And at the same time, too, you're having that synergy with younger stars that are extremely talented and going through that. From this perspective of having AJ with these younger guys, I think adds to that effect too, elevates those guys, helps out AJ out too at the same time. And yeah, I just think it was a fine match to have on the card and presenting some new talent. And maybe even more so in that realm, I can subscribe to a little bit about being like, this is why we should tune into NXT is because of Javon Evans, potentially a Leon Slater showing up or something like that. I think that kind of had the more effect. I think, doubling back real quick, Sol Ruka, if you put her on the mainstream product, maybe a Raw or something, you can kind of get best of both worlds with that, maybe Robert, too. But
Yeah, I think that
yes.
there's a way. It'll be interesting to see kind of where they go from there. And then the big thing of interest is where they go after the main event. Gunther, the ring general, defeated John Cena. And the moment that I knew for sure John Cena was losing was when they did that Miz segment, which was an excellent segment, by the way. Miz comes out, R-Truth confronts him. They bring in Joe Hendry. It's happy, happy, joy, joy. It is the Vince McMahon playbook of gauging when to put on the pressure, when to relieve the pressure. And that segment relieved the pressure for the audience. They were happy. They got a fun moment. And then you immediately went to the John Cena match. I was like, there's not enough time to build that up and give the audience another positive release. This may be it. And guys, speaking of positive releases, you already know what time it is. It's time to level up, and Blue Chew just dropped something crazy. I'm talking next level championship belt gold plated energy. Blue Chew Gold is the newest innovation from the #1 chewable ED brand. This ain't your grandpa's little blue pill. This is the 4-in-1 beast incarnate that's setting the gold standard for performance. We're talking 2 ingredients for blood flow to keep that rocket pumping, mixed with apomorphine and oxytocin to tune up the arousal and connection in your brain and body. It dissolves under your tongue and works in as little as 15 minutes. We've got a special deal for our viewers. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with promo code RUMOR. That's promo code RUMOR. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode of Rumor and Innuendo.
Robert, before we dive into the match itself, what did you think of the presentation leading up to this match when it comes to Cena? Obviously, all the celebrities chiming in, people backstage. You had friend of the show, RVD, Kurt Angle, everybody ringside. Did you like how they presented all that?
Don't give me that friend of the show. Rob has never set foot on Rumor and Innuendo. Rob
He's
is
a friend of mine,
Rob
friend of the
is
show.
part of the D'Angelo stable of stars, but he has never been much like Magnum TA. We have never seen Rob Van Dam here on Rumor and Innuendo, but we did see a lot of the signature people in John Cena's career sitting front and center. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, the guys that John Cena definitely helped elevate. Booker T, who was part of that best of series with John, which was instrumental in establishing John Cena as a main level talent. Obviously, Kurt Angle, Rob Van Dam, Haku, for reasons, and it worked. I thought that was nice. Michelle McCool was there because she knows people, and when John came out, it felt like a genuine emotional moment. And when that match was over, the very first thought I had was, oh, this was a mistake. The decision on paper of John Cena going out on his shield, that Gunther is the he's the guy who's still going to be there tomorrow. He's the guy you're going to get mileage out of going forward. So him vanquishing John Cena makes sense. From an old school perspective, I can see Hunter and Cena both saying this is the decision that needs to be made. It was the wrong decision. It was the wrong decision the moment that match ended, when John Cena smiled and tapped out and moved on to wrestling heaven. The crowd did not take that journey. They did not say, you know what, we understand what happened here. This is the sunset of your career. Thank you, John. They chanted things that only your damn brother would say on this show that would get us kicked off of the YouTube. They did not buy that finish. And rather than the nice send-off, rather than the good farewell, there was that moment of, oh no, we just did a big thing badly. This was the Sopranos fading to black. This was the gang in Seinfeld winding up in jail. It was not the right call. It was the one instance where you should have gone happy, happy, joy, joy. John overcomes everything. He hits one last AA. He beats Gunther. Fine. The reason why, number one, it arms 2 people with an elevated status instead of 1. The first is Dominic Mysterio, because now Dominic Mysterio gets to say he is the last person to ever beat John Cena, which gives him amazing heel heat for the next 30 years. The second guy it elevates is Gunther, because Gunther looks at 2025. He lost his world title, he won it back. He lost his world title, but he did retire Goldberg. And then he didn't get it done against John Cena. And now he can become an unhinged psychopath of a character. Or he becomes a more sympathetic babyface for a little while. There were multiple interesting moments there. Where this doesn't work is the heat did not rest on Gunther. I know that there was videos of fans yelling at him and booing him when he was leaving. The heat went on Hunter. The heat went on the booking committee. The second is, if Gunther is now your A1 top heel, Braun Breaker is facing CM Punk on the first Raw on Netflix. Cody Rhodes is facing Drew McIntyre and is on a path to go face Roman Reigns. There is no room for Gunther at the top of the card unless the idea is Gunther is the new heart disease and he's just going to keep retiring wrestlers. He's going to get rid of Goldberg. He's going to get rid of Cena. He's going to get rid of AJ Styles. He's going to get rid of Chris Jericho. He's going to get rid of Brock Lesnar. He's going to get rid of R-Truth. He's just going to start wiping everybody out of wrestlers over the age of 40. It was a wild decision to make because that audience did not buy it. And I thought it was so funny that right behind Hunter, it was the writers. They brought Ryan out there. They brought Koski out there. They sent out Adam Panucci, who's a producer, was part of all this. Bruce was out there. It was like, you guys sit and hear all this. And then the wrestlers surrounded, and you got a little bit of happiness. And then they played a video package, and I believe everybody's sphincters tightened up because they went, oh no, are they going to show him? Are they going to show him? Are they going to show him? And they did something that was so perversely funny, which was they started showing archival interview footage of guys who were still there. Like, here's Hunter, but there's Hunter with a ponytail and a beard from like 2016. So that when they did show, I'm going to say his name, and if lightning strikes me, so be it, Vincent Kennedy McMahon in the archival footage, you were like, okay, it's like the Force Ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi. And John smiled appropriately, and it was a nice little video package. Weird. Very, very weird decision of what they did. And now the focus is on Raw, and where do we go from here? And I have a weird sneaking suspicion, weird on top of weird, Dom. Given the heat that Hunter had at the end of Saturday night's main event, and during the post show, when the crowd was still chanting, you effed up, and he turned to them and goes, hey, I thought you guys were going to be louder. Do we turn Hunter heel? Do we unleash the new McMahon? There is a very, very small part of me that envisions the following, and I'm going to lay this out, and you can poke holes in it all you want. Hunter goes out there, showered in booze. They are, Raw is live tonight from, didn't have it in the preview. Thanks, Tom. Best producer in all of pro wrestling podcasting
I just cut and
history.
pasted them. I left the main event, and I got Raw.
John Cena, yes, John Cena, thank you for all that you did. Show a nice heartfelt video package, and then crowd still booing. It's not my fault John Cena could not get the job done anymore. It's not my fault that the sports entertainment era that John Cena had created is no more. And this is a company about pro wrestling. This is a company about being the best in the ring, and the best is the ring general. Bring out Gunther, anoint him as your new unstoppable juggernaut. See where it goes from there. Do Gunther and Punk at Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, make money off of it. If it was Vince would have heard those boos. And, God damn, let's give the people what they want.
Let's go with it. Let's do it. Robert, when it happened, I was with you. I was like, man, this is a mistake. Him, Cena losing. The crowd reception after the fact even reiterated that point. I think the case could be made, Gunther, but who's his dance partner? What I said on my post show that I did right after that
How
Saturday
many
night's main event.
damn shows are you doing?
I know I did my own,
I
and
feel like Dom is in
I
the
was
middle of
like,
recording another show while he's recording this show. Like there's a second
it,
screen experience you could be watching right now of this side of Dom and his David Foster Wallace bandana talking about wrestling.
oh, you're infinite jesting about that, Robert.
I was going to say
But
infinite graps. That was literally what I was about to say.
well, but I think the key component here, Robert, is you have a monster heel. If you're building towards Gunther, you have to do it in the right manner. You have to position him in the right way. Um, but who's the next big baby face? Who are you going? Who's going to fill that John Cena role? Cody Rhodes is the present. He's not going to be the future. CM Punk is still a top baby face, but he's not going to be there forever. I think that's the key component that you have to run away from. That won't ultimately make this an effective choice if you don't have that. Um, I think that's a key component to all this is you need a big new baby face that is akin to John Cena, akin to Cody Rhodes making his return, and somebody to really carry the company forward that's, younger than 40.
Younger than 40. That's the that's the new barometer. Look,
Well, I
I
mean,
know who I want it to be. I know
who
who
do
I
you want it to
if
be?
it Jacob Fatu. I
Hmm.
think that you can because if you still have Cody, who's got the hand on the steering wheel and is guiding the corporate side of the WWE forward in the way that John Cena did for a long time and can sell the merchandise to do all that. I love it. There is a unique authenticity to what Jacob Fatu does that you're like, I want to watch him. I want to see what he does in the ring. He doesn't need to be polished, and that's okay. There's a frenetic energy to him that him being this unchecked wild man going up against a more disciplined Gunther, that's super fun. And it's like that's a superhero supervillain match that I kind of want to see in the next however many weeks or months going forward. I do think your point of there really isn't here's our next guy in line in the short term. You people forget you can re-elevate Sami Zayn pretty easily. Sami Zayn is a guy that crowd loves in the short term as the next guy
Yeah.
to if you go with let's fantasy book beyond all fantasy booking if we really want to go down that path. As much as I hate doing it, um, they want to throw a crazy world that we're living in. Punk loses because of the mystery man who's Austin Theory, and then you can do Punk and Theory doing their own thing. That means Braun Breaker is going to face the winner of the Rumble, which could be Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar he doesn't need a baby face heel. He's whoever he is. And hey, Paul, are you with me or are you with these young guys? Uh-oh. You got Brock Lesnar winning the world title. He loses it to Gunther in Minneapolis at SummerSlam. And then Gunther's your world champion again. He squashes Sami Zayn, where you think Sami's finally going to win the world title. And then, oh no, here comes Jacob Fatu. That's a year. That's a year of programming right there.
Well, I mean, to what you're saying earlier on, like they had that story going with Sammy, like, oh, he's vying for that world
They did.
championship. So maybe they planted the seeds a little bit early and getting some stuff. Have you noticed Sami Zayn's Instagram has been Michael Jackson, and then him in this Michael Jackson album covers, Thriller and Bad. I don't know where he's going with it, but I don't know. It's like there's some potential. I can kind of subscribe to a little bit more than I think about it.
I don't do the Instagram thing, so I can't really speak to what he's posting.
Yeah, it's
But there are ways to go forward. You know, it's kind of Gunther's done what he's done, and he can besmirch John Cena. And maybe Sammy's the one that shows up on Raw tonight. It's like, how dare you? And I'm not going to let you badmouth John Cena. And then he's the next sacrificial whatever. It's very possible. There's Kevin Owens. There are guys in the short term that can get you there before the next person steps up. The guy who it isn't going to be is Jey Uso,
yep.
because whatever any of it may be, Jey Uso at the end of Saturday night's main event in that post show where he was, let's just say, exuberant and feeling the Holy Spirit,
Mm.
that was a little embarrassing. He may have had one or two yeets and the language, the behavior, that wasn't a great look for Jey Uso.
I didn't
So,
catch that.
oh yeah, no, he was he was like he was hanging off of Jackie Redmond physically, like trying to like kind of prop himself up a little bit. He was talking about how he's like, I don't think John retired, left them damn Skechers in the middle of the ring, dropped an F-bomb, and Jackie's like, maybe just say yeet and let's wrap it up. And that was where we were at with it. But where we're at is we're at time. And I just heard a bell go off over there. It's my coffee pot. Letting me know. We're going to wrap up today's episode of Rumor Innuendo, but fear not, we will be back tomorrow, as we are every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms, including WW_Creative_ISH X account, the @Dominic D'Angelo X account, the @SE Scoops X account, and on YouTube on Rumor and Innuendo, Podcast Heat, and ad-free shows. So on behalf of the boy in the well, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Lassie, help me. Help me, Lassie.
Shh.